Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 1 of a brand new review series called, as you'll have seen from the title of course, Days Gone By. And as the name kind of alludes to, this series is for the classic cars of Gran Turismo. Now this series is going to span both road and race models, and there will be some vehicles in this series that are very popular on the game, but which I haven't reviewed in existing series, most notably vehicles such as the Toyota 7 Can-Am race car, and cars like this, the Mazda RX500, which are massively popular on Gran Turismo 6. So, as we said, this is featuring the Mazda RX500, this particular episode, and that's how we're starting the series. There's no real better way of starting a series than with one of the best cars you can get in the class, and that is exactly what this Mazda represents. It's a concept car, it's relatively old, from the 70s, and it's powered by, not surprisingly for a Mazda, a rotary engine. Now, it's the equivalent of roughly a 1 litre, if you're talking about a conventional engine equivalent. There's no completely accurate way of measuring how big a rotary engine is, but that's about as close as you can surmise to a conventional piston engine. So a 1 litre, that's pretty small. What can that engine do? Well, it can do a lot. It can actually put out just under 500 horsepower and just under 300 pound-feet of torque. Pretty good for a 1 litre. It also only weighs 763 kilos, thanks to the fact that rotary engines are extremely compact and lightweight, and that there's not that much to the car itself. It looks like a pretty big car at the back end, kind of like some kind of altered DeLorean kind of shape. But if you actually look at it, the car is actually all air. There's not very much inside that back end, it's just loads of cooling space for the engine. And without that cover, it's actually a very small car. It's also an extremely aerodynamic car, being in its day the equivalent of some supercars of the time in terms of what it could achieve performance-wise. And actually that hasn't changed on Gran Turismo. This car can actually still keep up with some supersports and even some supercars on GT6. The top speed on this model is around 250 miles per hour under its own power. The acceleration is also excellent, thanks to the fact that it hardly weighs anything. Now, as far as PP, it sits at 590 fully tuned, which is really good considering how good a track car this car is. The handling is superb. The weight is so low that it can outperform cars with far more power and far higher PPs around the track. And it's one of the reasons why this car, alongside some other classics such as the Dome Zero, are such popular classic cars to use. The Mazda RX500 is probably the foremost car of that type. Considered to be OP by some people, I'm inclined to agree with that, to be honest. It's a very popular car. It falls into the category along with vehicles like, as I said, the Dome Zero, but also vehicles like the GTR Nismo, the Tomicara ZZ2, etc. Vehicles which are the obvious choice within their class. As far as classics go, unless you start talking about full-on race cars, there's not very much on a street or concept car level that can keep up with the RX500, especially not in the classic car category. Now, I'm not saying it's an unbeatable car, of course not, but it is an excellent all-round classic, an excellent sports car, and one of the quickest concept cars in the game. Possibly even the most competitive all-round concept car in the game, if you don't include the VGTs. As far as horsepower per tonne, well, it's so light that it's always going to be good regardless of how little or how much power it has, but the fact that it has almost 500 horsepower means that it does put out a race car rivaling 651 horsepower per tonne, which is seriously impressive. And the only thing that may put some people off buying this car is the price. It costs 500,000 credits. But I would most certainly say that this car is worth 500,000 credits, because it's competitive, It's a fully detailed concept car, and many of the concept cars on the game are not fully detailed premium models, and it's a car which isn't just about having the looks and the exclusivity of a concept car, but it can actually deliver on that class, on that look, on that style of vehicle with actual usable performance, handling, acceleration, top speed, etc. So overall, if you are looking for a fantastic classic car, a fantastic concept car, or just a good sports car in general, and one which can still take on even the most modern of vehicles, then the RX500 is a superb choice to go for. I think a lot of people have already bought this car at some point, but if by some chance you still haven't got around to it yet, I would definitely recommend it. This car can easily exceed 270 with draft and nitrous, and around the track it can put cars with significantly higher specs to shame. And price-wise, it's still cheaper than a DeLorean, so it's not that bad considering just how quick this car is for both a classic and a concept car of its caliber. But that's it for this first episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.